Jim, what's an opportunity fund?
An opportunity fund is like a contingency fund. It gives us the ability to respond to opportunities that come our way as deemed to fit within our strategic plan. Chuck?
Jim, it seems that a lot of other towns or areas, one of the kind of the preliminary things they do to attract businesses is have a place for them to go, whether it's kind of a business park or industrial park or whatever. As far as attracting business here, what's the plan there? Is it different types of businesses that don't need that, or is there something in the works to have an area like that?
Well, we've got a number of developers in town that have areas that would work for that. Some of the things we've talked to developers about hotels. We've got A.J. Spiegel's property north of town. There's some other property around town. The bottom line is there's nothing, very little for them to move into now, but we believe that through this process, some of those types of structures will come about. It's not, building something is not what Beta's all about. Facilitating building lots of different things that have economic value to the community is what Beta's about. So as part of this process, we will bring the investors together, the interested parties, to create those spade-ready developments, those commercial buildings, retrofitting of commercial buildings, all the things that need to take place to house some of the prospects that we're already talking to. And we've got a great deal of people within the community here that are experts in that. That's what they do for a living. So we've got a lot of options in that regard.
A new docking facility, is that aimed for private craft, or would the Twilight perhaps be able to park there and bring people in?
Butch, I'm going to have to defer to you on whether or not the Twilight could land there, but it is transient docking, and it's a joint effort between Water Street Partners and the city and the other parties involved, with the idea of having a sustainable asset there that won't be a burden to the city going forward. Low maintenance, a way to handle the maintenance, etc. Butch?
Who asked the question? Make sure. Oh, Mark. Those of us that have been talking about this for probably 2 years now, Max.
At least 2 and more.
Max and I even longer than that. But we had 3 things we were looking for. We wanted, number one, a place for transient boats to come and stop and get off and come into town. We're probably the only town along the Mississippi that has no place for a boat to park. And the other side of that is we're probably one of the prettiest towns along the Mississippi for a boat to come in. We're situated where we would be right in line for boats traveling up and down the river to stop. So transient hour or 2, overnight or 2 type boating was our prime priority. Secondly, we wanted a place for a large boat like the Twilight or the Celebration Belle. Last year or 2, the American Lady was down in town trying to figure out where they could maybe park and come down for jams. So I don't know how much of a market is still out there for that, but this drawing you saw, does have a place for a larger boat to park at an angle there so that it doesn't stick too far out into the water. The third thing we were looking for was a marina. I mean, this was if we had everything we wanted, what would we want? So we had that in our plan, but right close to town, there are really, I won't say there are no places, but we ran into problems everywhere we go. And the best place for a marina physically is A.J. Spiegel's place. There's a deep channel right up to his place, and it may be the best place along the whole Mississippi, the whole upper Mississippi. So that's a little out of where we are right now. We had something came together that we were under the feeling that we couldn't do anything closer than about 1,500 feet from the south end of the seawall of the lock and dam. And we have Bill Haynes. Is Bill still here? Okay. He arrived at one of our meetings and he had a plan for a marina north of the Ernst Insurance Building and south of the parking lot in that strip of land there. There's already been 2 different permits granted for that space. So we now have the opportunity to maybe relook at that space, and at the same time, Water Street Partners announced that they were going to be doing something, including dockage at both of those warehouse buildings. So this may be an example of where Beta can help make a private and city operation come together and be effective for both. It may turn out that we can use some of Water Street Partners' activities as match for some grants that are available. And there are a lot of grants available for this kind of thing. One is a boating infrastructure grant, which only requires 25% match. Another is a recap program, and I don't know how much they're going to fund or what their funding is for this year, but that usually would, they like to see something in the order of, that they only would have to put in like 25 to 30%. So there's a lot of opportunities here. We came up with the idea of actually digging the bank back. If you remember looking down at the Ernst Insurance Building, there's a road that goes up to a door on the north side of that building. They have vacated that door, put a door in on the other side of the building already in anticipation of this. But if we dig back to that road, it creates about another 20 feet of distance that is not in the river. And any new water we develop does not require a marine biology survey. So we may get by with just a very little rim of a marine biology survey, have enough for our transient docks, and maybe possibly for the second phase of the larger boat. It covers a lot.
Well, just a point of clarification, you talked about this bigger boat. Does that include the Twilight?
Yes,
Okay.
that's what I meant.
Okay.
9,500 per boat.
Okay.
We're still working with IAW, so I don't know exactly how it's going to work out. That's our goal. I would say one other thing. For the city, our directives to the engineers are that we want this to be low maintenance, something they don't have to put in and take out every time there's a change in water level. And maybe even in the winter, we have a plan for that too, so that they don't have to fiddle with these things all the time. We want to reduce their liability and their exposure to maintenance issues. So that's a high priority for us.
Thanks, Butch. Any other questions?
Your tourism option, what are some of the things that are available in that option? Say, we're thinking about coming up with a 2-day art show in August, which is, in the last 10 years, it's been a 1-day event. Is there any way that Beta can help us with the entertainment and things that we're planning for that? Who do I contact, or how do we go about that?
You would start speaking with Colleen to start talking about the concept and see how we can make it fit within the goals of Beta.
Okay.
No, that was my question. I didn't hear any specific plans on how this tourism change is going to come into play. That was like, as a committee address that and where they're going to go.
Well, a lot of this has to do with identifying the target markets and drawing those markets to our community, whether it's tourism, residential, or business retention, expansion, relocation. So we're taking a fairly sophisticated view in terms of marketing, a highly targeted view, and how we're going to reach out to these prospects and not do the shotgun approach. We're going to take a rifle approach and engage them in extended campaigns that keep Bellevue in front of them and get the word out about Bellevue and really gain the exposure and work to draw the right people, the right entities into our community to meet our vision of preserving the traditions and creating our future.